Welcome to TK Design. Today I will guide you how to sculpt in Blender. If you are a beginner, this video is for you. Just watch at the end, you will know how to sculpt almost anything. Okay, let's press Shift A to add the sphere. And shading smooth it. I will scale it a little bit by pressing S. Okay, now let's change to the sculpt mode. Okay, as you can see there are many types of brushes. But I will introduce to you some of the most used brushes. That will help you sculpt almost anything you want. Okay, let's start with the draw brush. You can pressing F to change the brush radius. Drawing brush will add the thickness to the surface. That is you drawing. I will press Shift to smoothing the surface. The next brush I wanna introduce to you is the grab brush. Just put the mouse on the surface, then grabbing it. Let's grab one more here. That work like the grabbing brush, but it allow we pull the surface further. Okay, let's smooth it by pressing Shift. The next brush I wanna introduce to you is the Create. You can see it create the groove on the surface. I will create one more here. I will change the object to matte cap, will help you look clearer. Okay, let's remove these groove and make it more thickness by drawing brush. To change the vertex number of the mesh, you can use remesh here. Before remesh, I will show you how it work. Let's changing to the edit mode. Then you can see all the vertex of the mesh here. Okay, let's come back to the sculpt mode. Then let's remesh my object. I will change the voxel size to 0.05. Then click remesh. Now, the vertex numbers is doubles. Let's change to the edit mode. Now, the mesh have more vertex. Okay, let's change to the sculpt mode and start to sculpt. You can see the mesh is easy to forming a shape than before, because we added more vertex to it. Let's grab it. I will smooth it by pressing Shift. You can see all the vertex is preserved. The remesh method is adding more vertex, so that help we can sculpting more details to the object. The other method that help we sculpting more detail is Dintapo. To using, let's enable it here. Let's sculpt. The mesh looks more rugged because the mesh surface turned from quad into trace. Let's change to the edit mode. You can see all the face become trace face. Differ from remesh method that multiple the existing vertex. Dintapo will adding more vertex on the specific area. Not all the object like remesh method. I will reduce the details size to 5, that mean the more vertex are adding. Let's sculpt it. Let's go to the edit mode. You can see vertex is adding on the sculpted area and the remain area are not change. I will go to the sculpt mode and change the details size to 10. Then sculpt it. . Now you can see the vertex density is reduced clearly, due to we increase the detail size. So the Dintapo method can help we increase and reduce vertex on some specific areas. And that good for the RAM. Okay, let's delete this mesh. And start to make a simple thing. Let's make a cartoon dinosaur. I will add a sphere. And change to matte cap. Shade smooth it. Okay, let's change to the sculpt mode. I will increase the vertex numbers by using remesh. Let's reduce voxel size to 0.05. Then click remesh. Now we have double vertex. I will start with the grabbing brush by pressing G. F to change the radius. Before we start to sculpt, let's enable the symmetric first. I will use symmetric on the x-axis. The symmetric will copy my sculpting work and apply on the opposite side. And that help we save a ton of time. Okay, let's start to sculpt. I will grabbing up to make a dinosaur head. Let's see from in front. Let's pulling it on the horizontal. I will grab it down here. Let's push this area to shaping the body. Then pulling the head out a little bit. Just by using grabbing, we can forming almost the shape we want. Let's using draw to add more thickness to the surface. Okay, now let's use the snake hook to make the tail. That worked the same as the grabbing brush. But it allowed me to pull further by adding more vertex to the surface. I using draw to add some thickness here. I will modify the shape by grabbing. Now let's make the eye holes. By using draw and pressing Ctrl, you can make a hole on the surface. Each brush combined with Ctrl, that will make the inverse effect. The eye holes look not good. I think I will reduce the voxel size to adding more vertex. Let's change to 0.02. Now the mesh has more vertex, but it looked too rough. Don't worry, we have the smooth brush to solve that. By pressing Shift we will smoothing the surface. Let's come back to make the eye holes. I will smooth it a bit. Then using grab to reshaping the eye holes. Okay, now we're using the creating brush with control to sharpen the edge of the eye holes. You can see the edge become sharpen. Alright, let's modify it with grabbing. I will using create brush to make the mouth. Just create on the surface. Okay, we're done with the mouth. I will smoothing this area a bit. Okay, let's using draw with control to make the noses. Let's smoothing the body. Now let's adding the hand for the dinosaur. I will use the mask brush. The mask brush will protect the painting area from the sculpting effect. In other words, we can't modify the masked areas. Let's painting a hole. Now we have a hole, let's press Ctrl with I to inverse the mask. This operation help we masked entire the mesh but except the hole. Let's using the snake hook to grabbing the unmasked area. I will undo by Ctrl Z and grab it again. Okay, now I will reform it by using grab. I will pull the arms down a little bit. Let's push it down more. The arm looked too rough, I will smooth it with Shift. Now let's rotate the arm. I pick this brush. Then you see a line with 2 points, the white and yellow point. The white is fixed point and the yellow point is used to rotate. I will rotate it inward. I will use grab to reshape the arm. Let's smoothing it with Shift. I will add some thickness here by using drawing brush. Smoothing a bit here. When we're done with the arm, let's unmask the remain parts by pressing Alternate and N. Next, we will make the cybers. We continue using the mask. I will increase the strength to speed up my painting. Let's paint a circle here. It looked too blurry, because the surface don't have enough connected vertex to make a circle. So let's use remesh to adding more vertex. Reduce to 0.01, then click remesh. Now I will paint it again. The mask look less blurry than before. I will paint one more here. And here. When we're done, let's press Ctrl-I to invert the mask. Then pull it out by grabbing. I will grabbing it out a bit. Let's pull the second cyber. It not at the right position, so I will reshape it. And then for the last, just grabbing it. When we're done, let's press Alternative M to unmask. The arm looked too rough, I will smoothing it with Shift. Just pressing Shift and click on the mesh. Let's smoothing it on behind. And in front. I will use the layer brush. Then decrease the strength. Let's add the layer on the belly. When we've done with the layer, let's use the Create to make the groove become clearer. I will add the Create here. Now, to make the legs, I will use the mask brush. I will create a hole like we did for the arm. Let's paint on this area. Let's use Ctrl-I to invert the mask. Now I'm using the grab to pulling it out. Then on the side. I will pull it down. Now let's paint on this area. I'm using Ctrl-I to invert the mask. Let's press G and grabbing it. Let's push it up. We will reshape until it look like the feet. Okay, I will use Alternative M to unmask. I think I need to reshaping the leg a little bit. Let's grab the foot inward. I will reshaping the hip a bit. Let's draw on the foot and smoothing it with shift. I will add more thickness here. And for the instep. Let's continue using the mask brush. And paint a hole. Let's press Ctrl-I to invert the mask. Then grabbing it. Let's unmask it. I will create the second cyber. Continue use Ctrl-I to invert the mask. The unmasked area too big, I will paint around to make it smaller. Let's press G and pulling it. Grabbing it up a bit. Okay, I will unmask and do the same for the third cyber. I using draw brush to add some thickness here. Then use mask brush to create a hole. Let's invert the mask with Ctrl-I. I will paint to make the circle smaller. Okay, now let's grab it. One we've done, press Ctrl-M to unmask. Next, I will use the Dintapo. The Dintapo will increase or reduce vertex in the sculpting area. That depends on the detail size we use. To adding more vertex for detail sculpting, we should keep details size small. I will reduce it to 3. I will use shift to smoothing it first. I will make a groove with create brush. The foot look too rough, I will press shift to smoothing it. When sculpting with Dintapo, if the face has less vertex than the detail size, it will adding more vertex to the face and inverse. Let's use the create brush to make a groove here. I will reduce the strength to 0.3. To make the groove around the cyber. Let's add more thickness with draw brush. Once we draw completed, let's press Shift to smoothing the face. We do the same for this cyber, first draw then pressing Shift to smooth. I will use grabbing brush to reshaping these cyber. Let's smoothing the sole of foot by pressing Shift. For the hand, I will use adding brush to add more vertex to the surface. Let's adding. We don't see anything change, but there are the more vertex are added. When we done with adding vertex, just pressing Shift to smoothing the surface. Okay, now let's add some dot for the skin. I will disable the X symmetric and using draw brush to add. I using F and increase the brush radius. Let's add one more here. I reduce the radius to make the smaller one. Just change the brush radius then adding. Next, let's adding some details to the face. Before to sculpt, I will enable the X symmetric again. Let's sculpt. I will add more thickness here. Let's press G to use grab brush. I will reform the eye hole to make it rounder. Okay, now let's add a sphere to make the eyes. I will shading smooth it. Let's scale it down by using S. I will use mirror modifier. We choose the dinosaur as mirror object. Let's scale it down. Then move it to the eye holes. Just move and scale until it fit to the eye holes. Okay, now we just make a dinosaur. Let's press Ctrl S to save the project. Let's see the result. Okay, we've finished for the sculpting. In the next videos, I will guide you how to read a polygon that use for game or cartoon. Thank for your watching. If you find this video useful, let's like and subscribe for more video.